I just wanted to talk about, a little bit more about Donald Trump and this whole coup d'etat that's happening in the White House. In my opinion, that's what this is, just based off of how him and Elon Musk and the member JD Vance and just the people that are in his cabinet are moving. Also, the nominees that are getting ready to enter into his cabinet, because I do believe that Tulsi and RFK Jr. are going to be sworn in. They'll be part of his cabinet because right now our Congress, they are paralyzed in fear. Half of them, and the other half is complicit in what is happening. And so I just wanted to take the time to sort of go over how we kind of sort of got into this mess, who we're dealing with. And so let's just kind of look at my screen here. And we're going to just look at this um, video of Trump voters and how they think. I mean, this is really the part of Trump's team, the ones that are in Congress, and then also some of them are in the Supreme Court. You don't know exactly who, but he's got some ones that are on his side either way. But at the end of the day, I just kind of wanted to go over this and let's look at the average Trump voter and those who are in power enough to make decisions that will affect and also carry his will. But let's take a look here.
The way we got in this situation is pretty simple to explain. Basically, when Nixon was discovered having committed Watergate, people thought the Republican Party was washed up. But a clever staffer on in Nixon's White House came up with an idea for how to get more new Republican voters to replace all the people that were turned off by the corruption that had just been exposed, and perhaps save the party. His name was Lee Atwater. And he said, I know where there's all kinds of disgruntled white people. All you got to do is appeal to them over their anger about the end of Jim Crow and about school desegregation and about the Civil Rights Act.
And this is exactly what we're listening to right now, the rhetoric that's coming from the alt-right. This right here is the plan that they set in place a while ago, and this is exactly what you're seeing. This is what we're seeing right now. So let's continue.
And these are the words that you'll say to kind of trigger them. Then we call these the racist dog whistles. And you will send a message to them that they are welcome in the Republican Party. And starting in the mid-70s to the mid-80s, there was a massive change in voter registration from Democrat to Republican on the part of all these racists and lowlifes and ignorant people. At the same time, Trump started to have political ambitions. Now, it turns out Trump has an IQ of about 73. He barely functions as an adult. If it were not for the fact that his father gave him a lot of money, he wouldn't be able to function as an adult.
Now, these are facts. These are facts that have been proven, that people say that he's dyslexic, which is nothing to really make in front of. But the fact that he makes it a point to point out that people are incompetent and that people are dumb or stupid, or, they're not up to par. But he himself isn't. He was no magna cum laude graduate. So let's continue.
Trump has less money now than he would have had if he'd just taken the money he got from his father and put it in an index fund in the stock market and just let it sit. But he's gradually played around with it all these years and lost it in all his lawsuits and so forth, and his 6 bankruptcies, and he has dissipated a fortune over his lifetime. Now,
listen, the average person that goes through bankruptcy has maybe 1 or 2 bankruptcies, just like regular civilians. You know what I mean? Like, you'll have it. People go through bankruptcy. I mean, things happen, right? But 6 bankruptcies, and you're the one touting that you're this brightest person in the room, but you're not, because if you were, then you would know how to run your own companies. You wouldn't need to file bankruptcy. And don't give me this restructuring crap, because you wouldn't need to restructure 6 times if you did it right at least the second time or the third time. But let's continue. He's not bright. He's not bright. But these are the type of people that are being led by this particular type of man.
He's had the Russians for the last 20 years to bail him out, but ordinary people cannot be as dumb as Trump and still function. But Trump came out onto the public stage and started talking boldly like he wanted to do things politically and help the people of America. And he speaks like a third grader, because that's what somebody with an IQ of 73 talks like, even if they're an adult. Linguists have analyzed his speech, and they've made it plain. He speaks English at a third grade level.
That's wild.
This energized dumb people, because for the first time they could understand a presidential candidate.
This cartoon looks to me like Steve Bannon, but I don't know who it is really. It looks more like Steve Bannon than anybody else, but yeah, it kind of does look like Rosie O'Donnell a little bit.
And they said things like, "Oh, he speaks his mind. He's the first guy that doesn't use a bunch of fancy words and confuse me." Now I finally understand what he's saying. Of course, what he was saying was a lot of things they wanted to hear. They were the racist dog whistles. And so you had a beautiful alliance, from their perspective, of racists and stupid people. The lower 12% of the IQ distribution corresponds perfectly to Trump's supporters. Now, these people are so intelligent that there's actually a federal statute that prohibits their induction into military service. They didn't want to have a repeat, Congress didn't want to have a repeat of the McNamara's morons incident from Vietnam, which is a notorious thing you can look up on your own. McNamara's morons, it's called. Basically, we had a Secretary of Defense who had the idea that, hey, why don't we recruit low intelligence people, send them to war and see what happens. And what happened was they died in droves, and of course things got worse. And so they didn't want that happening again, so they actually passed a law. You're not allowed to recruit and induct into military service the lowest 12% on the IQ range. But they're still allowed to vote, and Trump energized them. He made dumb people think that they finally understood politics. He made people strut around proud of themselves, thinking that they had a grasp of the issues. Because they could tell on some level that Trump wasn't much smarter than they were,
right.
But there he was, a big shot.
Exactly.
So he seemed like a champion for them. Of course, all these people forget that they aren't rich. They didn't have a dad hand them the equivalent of $412 million. And they can't do the things that Trump does, and they can't get away with the things Trump has gotten away with. And even Trump himself is not going to get away with them indefinitely. But the stage has been set, and this is where we're at. Basically, we have a fanatical core of low intelligence voters that are solidly behind Trump. They will back him no matter what he does or says, because they don't care what he does or says. They just know he's their guy. They understand him. They like him. He talks to them in a way that they can comprehend, and they are fanatical in their support of him. He has given them what they see as dignity and strength. And then at the other end of the spectrum are smart people from all walks of life. I actually used to be a Republican myself. I'm ashamed to admit it now, but I know I'm not alone. I mean, millions of people who make sure that they turn out to vote against Trump used to be actual Republicans, because the Republican Party is now nothing but a loony bin of the very low intelligence. And there's just no way that...
And if you notice in this last election with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump went on the campaign trail and said this out of his mouth, that he loves unintelligent voters. That's what he said. That he loves the uneducated, unintelligent voters. He said this to his base, and they still voted for him. So, I mean, and then, Kamala and most of the people that she was talking to were either, educated, on their way to, driving themselves to education. But at the end of the day, this is who got voted in. But let's finish the rest of this here.
You can be associated with him at all. So now it's going to be, some range of conservative to liberal Democrats again, except that it'll mean something different than it used to mean. I mean, those Democrats won't be conservative because they're racist garbage people from the South. They'll be conservative because they have some other philosophy about the role of the market or of private enterprise or something like that. in the economy. At any rate, this is the problem we have. It's basically now just the very low intelligence versus the high intelligence. And the thing is going to be decided by undecided people who don't pay any attention. People in the middle that don't pay attention to politics, no matter whether the politicians are smart or dumb. They just show up on election day and try to do their best. Those are the people you have to reach. You have to get them interested. You have to explain to them what's going on. They have to be told Trump is a moron and he wants to be a dictator, and he's got a million morons behind him that want him to be a dictator. We cannot let that happen.
Well, it just happened. It just happened. And he is now effectively installed in the White House. So let's take a look here at, so let me just see. Donald Trump has this problem with, he has no control over his own bowels, in his own, let's just go over this interview. You guys will see what I'm talking about, but he has no,
DGA he behaved. The first time he did Miss Universe, all the cameraman, everybody saw how he behaved, and he would come out on stage. This will give you an example of how Trump operates. When you're doing a live show, it's very expensive, right? It's union. You got directors, DGA, cameramen, and stage managers, and all these guys standing around. So they're doing a rehearsal. Trump comes out, lines up all the girls on the side of the stage, like on the stage where you're shooting, walks up and down and inspects them all, sticks his finger in their mouth, checks their teeth.
Like he literally puts his finger,
checks their teeth. Yes, because he looks for big horse teeth like Ivanka. That's a turn on. He likes big teeth.
That's disgusting.
I'm an extremely stable genius. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course.
It sounds crazy, but it's true. He sticks those.
Hearsay.
Yeah.
No. So he. Wow. So he sticks it like he just pulled. It's clearly just a reason for him to stick his finger in.
Yeah, he sticks his little doll fingers in their mouth and checks their teeth. I grew up in New York in the 80s, so Trump was just like a joke to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, even in The Apprentice, you weren't like, this guy's going to be president. You're just like, this guy's out of his mind. He's making his daughter give him a lap dance in front of him.
That is so crazy. That's
he likes attention, so if he's in a room, he wants everybody looking at him.
You told me, you said I was beautiful, and I'm always beautiful.
Right. And he used to walk around like he was president back then.
Yeah, so let's get back to, so you said, so the women are lined up, and so he walks up, he
inspects them,
puts his fingers in their mouth to see their teeth, doesn't ask them to do it, he does it.
He does it. He lifts up their lips and looks at their teeth, just like you're buying a horse. He's checking the stock. They were his girls. It literally was written into the schedule. Trump inspects contestants the next year. The first year, people were like, what is happening? You know what I mean? But he owns the pageant, and he liked to make a show of it. Model world is like, it's only gay dudes in there and like their handlers. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. As a PA or a talent guy, you're not going to check out the angels when they're putting on their wigs. You know what I mean?
Are you beautiful? Yes, I am beautiful.
I think he even said on the Stern show that he used to walk in while they were getting dressed and pretend it was an accident or whatever it was, just to see them.
It wasn't an accident. He made a big deal that he could do it because he owned the pageant, so he looked at them as his girls. It wasn't an accident. He knew he was going in there. It wasn't like, oh, wrong room.
Well, I'll tell you, the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. Right. I want to make sure that everything is good.
So in the beginning at Celebrity Apprentice, I was just dealing with whatever. And then Ivanka came on the scene and sort of became the star of the show. Ivanka runs that empire behind the scenes. She's calling the shot.
Moto G22, when is Epstein's list coming out? I I have a theory about that. I think that Donald Trump is on that list. And one of the distractions that he did, I don't know if you remember when he first got in office, which was all of but 2 weeks ago, said that he uh, is going to be releasing JFK, RFK, MLK's, classified files. He was going to release all those. But he said that he was not going to release Epstein's files. Now, in that whole case, Jeffrey Epstein was convicted initially before, and then he was on trial again. That's what he was in jail for. He was on trial again. But with the second time that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and going to trial, it was just him and Ghislaine that were in trouble. For a long time, she was hiding in a house, and everybody knew where she was in terms of like law enforcement. They all knew where she was, but they refused to go get her. It was all weird during that time. And then he ends up, passing away. And they say that it was self-inflicted, but that's questionable. I just don't trust what is being told. Just because these types of people are into some really weird things, and they do some of the most despicable things to each other, including the unthinkable, which is taking somebody out to where there's no, they don't have a life anymore. But Jeffrey Epstein, I think that Trump is on one of those lists. I think he's on those lists or in those videos, because Jeffrey Epstein was like how Sean Combs is going through that whole situation where he's being tried for all these SA cases, sexual assault cases. Well, before Sean Combs was doing it, Jeffrey Epstein was the guy. He was the guy doing that. And then before him, it was another guy named Craig Spence before that. So there's always been some guy that has been working in high levels of government doing these types of things. And Trump has known all of these people. So I do believe that he is on that list, and he's never gonna release it, because if he does, then he's going to jail. And we know that he did all of this stuff that he's doing right now is so that he does not have to go to jail when he gets out. Trump is terrified of jail. This is why half of this stuff is happening, is because he does not want to go to jail. You said you live in France and we are scared. Listen, I know it seems like a lot is going on right now. There's just a barrage of different things that Trump is doing, but that is to mask what they really want to happen. And I don't want you to be scared, because that's not how you defeat any monster in your way. You can't defeat it by being scared. You have to face it, you have to look at it, you have to see what it is, you have to dissect it, and then you have to eat it like an elephant. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Now, you can strategically eat the elephant and make sure that you eat all of it so that it is completely gone. But at the end of the day, being scared, I understand that. It's okay, but you have to get past being scared and fight anyway and stand up to it anyway. And be involved. Speak out. Because Donald Trump is the Wizard of Oz. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that movie, The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy goes through this whole journey down the yellow brick road, and at the end of the day, when she looks back up, or when she looks beyond the curtain, it's a fake, it's a fraud, it's a phony. Randy Krause, first of all, you don't know me, so don't tell me what I did or what I did not do. And you are a slave to Donald Trump, so just admit that, okay? It's okay. I understand you're a slave. And pretty soon he's going to have you in chains and a whip. Okay, Randy? It's okay. I know that you're going to love it because it's the chains that you're going to be enslaved in are going to be branded with Donald Trump's name. So you're going to love that. That's like the epitome of being a Trump slave, a part of the cult, is that you want to be in some sort of, homoerotic relationship with Donald Trump, and it's disgusting. But I understand where you're coming from. So these comments, that's what it is. You don't want me to talk about this man that you are in love with. That's weird, though. Okay, I think you should read a book if you can do that. All right. So what do I think that his plan is? His plan is to get all. Listen, AOC, which is a Democrat in America here. I believe she's in California, but she came out yesterday and was talking about how there's a law. There was a very, very big tax break that Trump passed the last time that he was in office in 2017. 2017, he passed this law, and he gave these large, to the tune of $2 trillion of tax breaks to different billionaires, tech billionaires. And that tax break is set to expire this year in 2025. Lo and behold, Trump is back in office, and he not only wants to extend that tax break, but increase that tax break to $4 trillion. Not only does he want to increase that tax break to $4 trillion, he has to find that somewhere in the budget. So this is why Elon Musk is in the White House, trying to pirate ship the Treasury. And the crazy thing is that his base thinks that he's really doing this for them, but he's not doing this for them. He's doing this so that him and their billionaire friends and their billionaire hedge fund buddies and tech bros, not just here in America, but they know sultans and kings and people and Saudi princes and they know all kinds of people with a whole bunch of money. That's who all this is going towards. Donald Trump just created a sovereign wealth fund. I don't know if you know what a sovereign wealth fund is. It's something like SoftBank. SoftBank is basically a venture capital company. A venture capital company is a company, it's like a bank, but they specifically invest in certain things. And they can pick out what it is that they want to invest in. Like, for instance, SoftBank is named SoftBank because they invest in software or um, uh, technology, software technology. Um, and so this is what he's trying to do. He just created a sovereign wealth fund in America, and this is really not something that has happened. Typically, those types of things are privately funded. But Trump wants to open one, or he did. He just signed an executive order to open up a sovereign wealth fund here, so that he can buy TikTok, so he can have a government run social media. No government in America, right? The government doesn't have a social media platform that it owns. It has one that it has some control over. Like if you were tuning into the election with just the last couple elections, you noticed that certain voices were muted, or certain voices said that they were muted. This is part of, certain parts of the government, not the whole part, but certain parts of the government would have access to the heads of these companies, and basically telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing. This is when the fact checkers came on. The same thing with the media. So, the government wants to control the media because they need to control the narrative. And that narrative is to make sure that you are numb with fear, so that they can continue to do they're doing, whatever it is they want to do, without you saying anything. And you feel like, well, if I just don't say anything, then they won't bother me. But that's just it. If you don't say anything, they will bother you. They're going to bother you whether you say something or not. So you might as well say something. You have to say something. And a lot of the time, if you've been paying attention to the media and how Trump has responded to the people who do say something, a lot of the time he's backing down. So you have your voice has a lot of power, especially when you are on the right side of history. But his plan is to get all of that. I think that they are going to loot the treasury. I think they're going to find a way to transfer money from take it from the accounts that it's supposed to go in, because this is all coming from Medicaid. The money in the treasury is about $6 trillion that gets dished out every year. What they're trying to do is redistribute that money to these different funds that you will never be able to really um, like how you heard of the Swiss, having a Swiss bank account, or having a bank account in different parts of the world where you can't trace it or you can't track it, or they have laws to where it's very difficult to find anything. Well, this is what they're planning on doing. They're planning on redistributing that wealth. It's the great. Listen, this is the if they succeed, it will be the greatest heist in human history. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Jesus. That's the one thing he's not going to let happen, is let the people of not just this country, but any other country just continue to, because we're supposed to all be here managing this land and managing each other. And the leaders of the country, and not just this one, have just dropped the ball so bad. It's been so bad that this is where we are, to where they have conditioned people to think that this was happening right now. Smart people are in here. Smart people are in here. But they have trained people that are not as smart, or didn't get as much education, or feel they're in a vulnerable stage. They have trained those people. They have brainwashed these people in a way to make them feel that this is the right thing to do, to go to have a hostile, aggressive takeover. Elon Musk is in the White House saying what is criminal, what is breaking the law, and what isn't breaking the law. But he isn't a legislator. He isn't in the legislative body of the United States government. So he can't say what's criminal or not. Meanwhile, he's getting in physical altercations with the man that was running the Treasury, running a department in the Treasury that actually distributes the payments. There was a physical altercation, and this man had been working there since 1983. So he couldn't have been just, this very young and vivacious person that was ready to start fighting. Absolutely not. Who wants to fight at work? Like, that's not what you come there for. You came there to do your job and go home. So, Forehead Musk he's in there acting like a complete thug. They own some demon time. That's what type of time they on. Demon time. That's what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are on. Demon time. That's what you're seeing. But at the end of the day, yes, Lord, rebuke them, the evil talkers, but rebuke the evil people in the White House. That's who I rebuke in Jesus' name. It says, I don't know, Nell, he said, I don't know how you can be a slave to Trump here. Even the men see it's a front. Yeah, so they you said you don't know how that you can be a slave to Trump, because that's part of the cult. Being a cult member means that you're not going to go against him whether whether you agree with it or not. That means that you're a cult member. That's a slave. When you don't think for yourself, when you can't stand up to somebody that's doing wrong, that you know is doing wrong. But see, here's the thing. If you can't think for yourself and see that at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that's being hurt too, because they're dismantling all of these different organizations, the USAID, the Department of Education. Um, they released us from the climate accords that we were part of, trying to help the environment. They released themselves from the UN, from the Human Rights Board. They've released themselves from Trump fired all those inspector generals. He said that he wants to deregulate everything. Now, I don't know if you've been listening for the past couple of years with the whole crypto space, but crypto bros and tech bros and finance bros, all those in the super wealthy sector, or those who are in, you know, like are involved in the markets and business, and I actually, I'll be in the markets. They are super obsessed with deregulation. They're very obsessed with deregulation. What they want is for nobody to, they want to be able to do whatever they want, which is Elon Musk saying free speech absolutism. They want to be able to say whatever they want, take whatever they want, do whatever they want, hurt whoever they want, assault whoever they want, and nobody should be able to say nothing. Nobody should be able to do nothing. Nobody should be able to take them to jail. Nobody should be able to take their friends and family to jail. Nobody should be targeted. But you should be able to be targeted by them because they feel like they're better than you. This is how Trump talks about. This is how Trump talks to who he calls DEI. He talks to, which that would include myself, which I probably have more education than Trump. But at the end of the day, they just want to be able to do whatever they want, carte blanche. And one time at some point, this is actually going to stop, and they're not going to be able to. Here's the thing: there's always going to be karma, and if they don't listen, they have to stop now. If they don't stop now, it's going to come back on them. It's already really going to come back on them. People are saying that if because people want Elon Musk either arrested or they want him deported. But I'm telling you, it would be dangerous to have him deported. But I'll get back to that in just a second. If Elon Musk gets arrested because what he's doing is illegal, these are illegal. He's accessing these parts of the government illegally. If he gets arrested and tried and convicted, Donald Trump will just pardon him, and so he'll just get off on doing the wrong thing. So that really does set the wrong message. But I do think that he should go to jail, because if he gets deported, I'm sure that he'll rally up his billionaire friends with all these resources, and they'll find a way to try to retaliate on the American people. And they're already retaliating on the American people when the American people did nothing to Elon Musk. Nobody did anything to Elon Musk, but this is how he's acting towards the American people. So basically, all Donald Trump is going to do is continue to try to unravel and deregulate the government so that he can seize power and redistribute this wealth to him and his cronies. Because again, the one thing that he did to his base that they're geniuses. He released this cryptocurrency right before he got into office, and right now the cryptocurrency is doing so bad in the markets because it was never meant to enrich anybody but himself. But they are so smart; they got it all figured out. They have it all figured out, and they know in their heart of hearts that they made the wrong choice. But they have egg on their face. They have egg on their face. The cheetah's eating their face, but they're not going to say anything because they're embarrassed. They have pride. hard hearts, just like Trump. The pride in them won't allow them to admit that they made a mistake. And not only that, it's not even just about voting for the wrong person and now this lunatic is in office. It's about correcting those mistakes. You know, a lot of these Trumpers, these cult followers, say that they're Christian, but they're the big fat liars, because Christians actually repent. Christians actually look at what's happening. Christians actually judge what righteousness is by what the Bible has already judged what righteousness is. But they wouldn't dare. They only use Jesus as a cover story because they don't care about Jesus. They care about what that story can do for them. They can get enough power to ruin somebody else's life. Really, listen, the one thing about Trump and his ilk is the highlight of their day is ruining people's lives. That's what they get off on. It's weird. So you can't be a Christian. That's not a Christian. That would be a servant of Satan. That's what that would be. That would be spot on for that. So I don't understand why they are, they say they're free speech absolutists. Yeah. So then why not just say that you worship Satan, since you're so bold and you're not a coward? Just say that. Because they want to ruin people's lives. But let's continue with the rest of this Donald Trump story about him not being able to hold his own, but his own bowels. But this is from some time ago. But this is the person that's in the office. I just kind of want to put the light on. He also tells more stories about who this person is. But let's finish this.
That's it. Lies, lies, lies. Trapped and strangling in a jungle of lies and deceit.
Yeah, so you've mentioned that I've seen you mention the fact that not only she called the shots, but that she plays him a lot. Like she would joke about him to you.
Oh yeah, and to Jared.
You had said that she is completely different than everyone knows her. Like, what's the difference between how she really is and what everyone seems to think she is?
She speaks in a much lower voice. So her speaking voice is like an octave lower in real life. You're right. She sounds like a sailor from Queens. Like she curses, you know what I mean? She'd just be like, fuck you, Jared. You know what I mean? It's literally shocking, you know? And they'd make fun of him. Back to your earlier question. A PA came up once and said, here's your, I call her Vanky. You know, that was a nickname, but here's your sides, Ivanka, and I've given them to your father too. And she's like, oh, really? I'm sure he'll read them right away. And her and Jared are laughing because he's dyslexic. He can't read. So
he's definitely dyslexic. He can't.
100%. That's where the Adderall comes in.
When their eyes widen in amazement as Old Faithful bursts into the sky, when they gaze upon Yosemite's towering sequoias, and to avoid liability, shifting production to Thailand.
Let's dive into this part. So there's a couple of things that just absolutely blew my mind. The Adderall is one, and you know what? It does make sense retroactively because there, a lot of the sniffing and everything else. So, like, what is he doing? Like, he's just crushing up pills and snorting.
Crushing up pills and snorting it. And he's an old.
This is the same Donald Trump that's saying that he wants to go to war with Mexico and Canada because of the drugs coming in, the fentanyl. But he's allegedly crushing up pills and snorting them. Why do you need to, if you need these pills, like medically, why are you crushing them up and snorting them? That's weird. This is the man that's saying that he wants to go to war, a trade war with Canada and with Mexico and China, because that's who he's accusing of doing it. He said China is sending fentanyl through Mexico, which, here's the thing. I have to say, I have read some stories about that, but this is the cartel. This isn't like it's the government. You know how, like, when the government was drug running here back in the 80s and the early 90s and the mid 2000s, and we went to Iraq and went to war for drugs over there. Not like the government, not like the state-run government drug trade here in America. This was being ran by the cartels out there in Mexico and the triads in China. So these are underworld groups that are doing this thing. But let's continue here.
He's a cokehead for 20, 30 years. If you ever look on the side of his nose, there's a big place for where he had a septoplasty. He blew out the middle of his nose, like coke nose, from doing too much blow. So cocaine is his party time drug.
That's
But
wild.
since the late 90s or whenever Adderall came on the scene
This is
around
the
then,
drug president.
Adderall is his name.
That's the president that is going to stop all drugs to the U.S.
Maintenance high. This is how I try to explain it to people. Like, he's still done coke. He would come to VH1 Fashion Rocks and do blow in the back of a limo with models. He did blow in nightclubs. Like, his blow stuff was no secret. But his day-to-day, when he has to read something, is Adderall.
I guess the scary thing the scary thing more than anything is that everyone kind of sees it. Everybody kind of understands that, the man's kind of unhinged, but
right.
People still ride with it.
Well, I know. Well, he's got his cult that's not going to change their mind.
Look me in the eye, straight in the eye, in the eye, in the eye.
That's so weird.
And the ones that have, like Rick Wilson, the Lincoln Project, Steve Schmidt, all these other Republicans have turned against him, and they make videos about what I'm saying. Trump took a 7-person motorcade across the street to get to that hotel a couple years ago. Every other president walks across the street, right? At The Apprentice, he asked for a golf cart to go from that parking garage I told you about to where we shot the thing, which is the LaFrac Theater, if you've ever been to the Museum of Natural History, where the IMAX Theater is,
Yeah, a couple of blocks.
Not even, it's 80 feet. And he sat there for an hour, and we're like, we can't drive a golf cart. It's a museum. You know what I mean? Where are we going to get a golf cart? He's like, fuck you, make it happen.
Yeah. So,
And Ivanka had to come talk him out of the car. And she slipped into that voice I was telling you about. That breathy, sibilant S thing she does, that's for daddy.
What can you do with oyster crackers? I'll show you what you can do with oyster crackers.
I wanted to kind of touch on that before we get over to Ivanka again. You mentioned the girdle and you mentioned the lifts. However, one of the things that, I just love
I know where this is going.
Yeah, so he shits his pants, right?
All the time.
Oh my gosh. So here we go. Donald Trump has to wear a diaper all the time. And he's been wearing this diaper since the 90s, since he's been a young person. And he regularly and routinely shits himself in front of people. And then he acts like it's no big deal. He doesn't make a face. He doesn't try to get up. He doesn't do nothing. But you can hear it on the camera. The camera picks, or the microphone picks up the sound of it. It's disgusting. Let's listen to this. This man worked with him on The Apprentice.
The nickname for The Apprentice, if you're a boom operator on that show, is the shit show. Because he'd shit himself publicly. Remember how I told you about the words like arbitrage?
Yeah.
So if he saw a word he didn't like and he couldn't pronounce, which is basically any 3-syllable word, he would freak out and he'd fly into a rage, and then it would let loose. And you would hear it. He's profoundly incontinent, bro.
Oh my gosh, look.
A minute-long evacuation of his bowels.
He's a cartoon character.
Yeah, no, in full audio. Like, imagine the guy's got a lavalier. There's some dude like this being like, I just heard that guy shit himself for 5 minutes.
That's so nasty.
And the reason for that is, I used to do a lot of cocaine. Cocaine has laxative. Stimulants have laxative, So it's a combination of like 30 years of stimulant abuse and eating nothing but McDonald's, because all he eats is cheeseburgers and then meatloaf at night. So he's got 40 pounds of undigested meat in his colon.
I can't believe he eats fast food. Like, I wouldn't think, I'm sorry, I just wouldn't think that about Donald Trump, is that he would eat fast food. I would think that it would like be beneath him to eat fast food. Fast food when you have a chef? This is crazy. But fast food, processed food mixed with cocaine, which he said is it turn something into water, something.
And he's basically feeding diuretics all day long. That's what stimulants are. They create water in your guts, in your intestine.
Even a coffee, you need to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. So imagine snorting your coffee and like 6 months worth of Big Macs down there, and then you fly into a rage, so you just lose control.
So the first time like he shits his pants, Laura, did you have a question?
Yeah, but let's finish up the shitting in his pants.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember it like it was yesterday. You don't forget your first kiss and the first time you see Donald Trump shit his pants. And it was on the set of SNL. It was Studio 8H, that thing you watch every Saturday night. That's where the first fake boardroom was built. And they were doing a run through, and arbitrage was the word. And he pointed at the cue cards and said, "You guys are fucking setting me up." He curses like crazy.
Right.
And then you know what I mean? Then the fucking sound. And you're like, that didn't just happen. And they're like, yep, it happened. And it's like, okay, stand down. And then Keith Schiller, who's his big bodyguard, come and gets him. And they change him out in the host dressing room.
So wait, do you smell it? Does he just smell like shit?
Yeah, you smell it. Oh, he smells like shit all the time. Anyway, because he doesn't brush his teeth. Those are like dentures and shit. So, and he's too arrogant to like take care of himself.
Put the pick in there, Pete. And turn it round. Real neat. You are so beautiful, my Baron. Your skin, love to me. Your diseases, lovingly cared for all eternity.
If you watch him as president giving speeches, you'll see him lined up with people, like when he was doing the coronavirus stuff. And if you see him turn and talk to somebody, you'll see that person recoil just slightly. You know what I mean? You know when people have really bad breath and it like hits you in the face?
Oh my God.
That's his breath is bad, dude.
Wow.
Like a fishing boat in July.
So wait, is he tanning or is it self tanner?
No, it's Bronx number 5 is the name of the company. It's Swiss something. It's like Swiss Arts. It's a Swiss company. They make it, and it's called Bronx Concealer number 5. It's made by a Swiss company, and he puts it on himself.
Oh, so
he does it, and he does his hair. Nobody does it for him. That's the dysfunction. Right. He's waking up slowly. He's tweeting. He's watching Fox News. And then he's putting on the stuff. He's doing the hair. It takes an hour. And then they strap him into the girdle. He can't do the girdle himself.
So wait, they help him into it?
Yeah, and that's how I saw it, because I walked by a room and they were lacing up the back. And it's hard. It's a hard plastic thing. It's like Frankenstein.
Oh my God. I just want to point out to y'all, do y'all know the preparation and the fakery that he goes through every day to put on this facade that he's this big bad man, but this is who he is. I just want to elucidate and illustrate who this is. This isn't Putin. This isn't Hitler. I mean, he's got some of those same views, but this is who Donald Trump is. And so he's just a man, just like any other human being, and he has weaknesses, and he has listen, Donald Trump is the king of projection. The things that are wrong with him, he projects out and acts like there's something wrong with you. So, like, for instance, take the whole situation with, which, rest in peace, to the recent plane crash that happened in DC, right? So he gets up there and the first thing he says is, Nothing about the families, nothing, I mean, it was just very, very cold hearted when he got up there. He's just not a leader. He's not a leader, but he gets up there very cold hearted and basically tuned out and only ready to talk about what he thinks the problem is and when he's the actual problem. So he starts to blame DEI, which everybody that has a brain knows that he's talking about black people and then other groups of people, but primarily black people. So he starts to blame it on black people and all this. And then days later, which by the way, he kept saying, oh, well, years go down the line and then you find out the truth, which I'm just going to say the truth now. The truth is that this is DEI. But then it came out days later that it had nothing to do with any incompetence with anybody. It just happened to be a mistake. Somebody was flying at the wrong level. Okay, that was incorrect, and 67 people lost their lives. But it wasn't because of incompetence. It was just a very, very bad mistake. But he couldn't even wait to deliver that message. It was a difficult message in and of itself, but he had to make it even more difficult. It's just wild. But let's finish here. Ooh, I see some Republicans up in here is triggered. Hey, y'all is the most triggeringest people in the country. And y'all talk about other people being triggered. Like it's it's so crazy. But let's finish this. Yes, he does, Lori. The only reason why he blames him is because he doesn't want to take accountability. And you know why? Because he's not a leader. That means he doesn't know what to do next. So if he doesn't know what to do next, he's just going to start blaming other people. And then you're looking over there. These people are looking at him as if he's a leader and he's pointing over there. No, you need to handle it where it is, no matter whose fault it is. No matter whose fault it is. You should have something ready to go. But that's not who it is. That's not who he is. It's not who he's ever been. But let's continue here.
If you saw that guy without his hair, if the world saw him, he wouldn't be president tomorrow. Even his staunchest supporters would be like, no, fuck that. Get that guy out of here. Now.
Yeah, so Donald Trump is a super imperialist. An imperialist is someone like Hitler, someone like Stalin, who want these states of being that they are. He's an occultist. Donald Trump is an occultist. So he dabbles into the occult. In the occult, they think that only one type of person should exist. That one type of person is above all other types of people. And so this is what drives him and his cronies, the people that he's putting in position to do what he thinks is what he feels is the right thing. Trump is pissed off about. He thinks that he should be able to have people bow to him or worship him. He really does. There was an interview that was like a hot mic that was caught of him talking to someone when he was getting on a plane. And they were saying, he was talking about, I think it was a sultan somewhere in the Middle East. And he was saying, I think about Iran. I can't remember. But he was saying that his people, they not bow, but like listen to him exactly whenever he says to do something, they all listen. And he said he wanted his people to be like that. But that's what I really think that Trump wants. He wants power in the form of worship and money so that he can do whatever he wants. He can go wherever he wants. And if he doesn't want to be held accountable, so he wants to deregulate everything. But that's the central focus of what he wants. And because of that, that's the central focus of what he wants. He's going to put up a bunch of different shields to blind you and to put up distractions so that he can continue to do what he needs to do to get that thing done. So these are legitimate distractions, but at the end of the day, They're legitimate distractions, but they are distractions to keep you from the stopping his ultimate goal, which is power and all that money. Okay, so let's go ahead and thank you for subscribing.
I'll tell you what it looks like. Do you remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yeah.
There was that character in or something.
The blonde.
Yeah, the guy with like the gray hair on the sides and stuff.
That's what it looks like.
Yes, because it's all one long ass piece of hair. He hasn't cut in like 20 years.
Oh yeah. Donald Trump should be behind bars. And you know, the crazy thing is that Donald Trump is setting himself up for, okay, so he just said that he made a deal with El Salvador and Cuba to make sure that U.S. citizens, and make no mistake about this, he's talking about black men because that's who they lock up the most. While there's some of them, most of them didn't, but it's a little small few on social media talking about how blacks for Trump, and which is so weird. But he made deals with El Salvador and Cuba, and he's going to be extraditing prisoners there that he thinks are violent criminals that should not have any more, more chances. I don't know if y'all remember the 3 strikes law that they passed in California, where you do 2 crimes and then the third one they lock you up for life, no questions asked, even if it was like a minor violation. So he can enact something like that. I mean, he's been doing all kind of stuff with unchallenged by the Democrats. I don't know why they're so quiet and outraged. I do want to give props to AOC and Jasmine Crockett because they have been speaking out. The new DNC chair, Ken, I forgot his last name, but he's talking about there's good billionaires out there. Well, look, what you should be focused on is a calculated response to what's happening. Like, I don't care about good billionaires. What you need to be focused on is creating a calculated response that's going to be effective. I don't care about anything else that you're talking about. But, well, here's the thing about the impeachment proceedings. If he has so many people in place right now, the impeachment isn't going to go through, because I don't know if you remember his last term, he got impeached twice. And the Republicans in the Senate shut it down. And so the next step then would be to get other types of incumbents in office that are in proletariat leaning, meaning they lean towards the people. You would need to get those types of people in office, and that way a real impeachment could go through, could pass. That's really the only way an impeachment will pass at this time. Sending prisoners to El Salvador is a violation of the 8th Amendment. Well, Trump seems to not care about any amendments. I'm not on Truth Social. I have not downloaded that on my phone, but I did see a post that somebody screenshotted and put on Blue Sky, where Trump said that he wanted to gut the Constitution. He don't care about no Constitution. And apparently not, because he's letting this unelected official in the Treasury, for crying out loud. Y'all don't think that that's wild? He would be busy fighting the impeachment. He would be busy. But again, they are anticipating a strong fight, and they haven't gotten it so far. I know that they're probably wondering, like, why isn't there more of a fight? There's more of a fight from the proletariat than there is for the Democrats so far. They haven't done nothing legally. There's been a bunch of lawsuits, though. There have been. But that's going to have to be the attack, because there has to be some legal defenses. Now, really the only thing that the proletariat can do is really lodge civil complaints or civil lawsuits against the government, but that's not going to stop anything legally. We would have to petition the Supreme Court. So they did a ruling. Remember when Trump got he's been convicted of so many crimes. He got convicted of one crime, and one of the judges said that he what an official act is basically immune. Like he has immunity to do it. I think that court ruling needs to be reconsidered because now he feels like he can do whatever he wants, carte blanche, and he is. So I think that particular ruling should be reconsidered because that will be so important moving forward for what happens, as far as consequences go. Okay, so let's finish.
Oh, riffraff?
Riffraff, that's that. It looks like riffraff because it's one long fucking shank of hair that he brings up, and he's a master of it. He's an artist, and he swirls it and does the can of hairspray and all this stuff and gets it in shape. But if you saw it without that, it would horrify you. And he also had a scalp reduction, and that's famously documented. That's why he attacked his first wife.
Ivana wrote about that in her book.
Exactly. He said he ruined her life, but he lifted his scalp up to make it seem less bald. And it left a scar, and he accused her of ruining his life.
Because she picked the surgeon.
It was her surgeon, and so he ripped out a chunk of her hair and did something else really bad to her.
Yeah, he assaulted her sexually.
When you see him go to St. John's and pose with that Bible, and then we learn it's Ivanka's idea, what did you think about that?
No surprise. That's what I'm telling people. She's pulling the strings. She carried the Bible too, right? In her $1,500 purse. Right. Ivanka is the president. Jared is the president. They're running the show. I tell people this. This is what Trump wants. He wants music to play when he walks in the room. He wants to get high, and he wants to hit on women. He could care less about governing. He actually doesn't even care that much about getting rich. The guy's lost more money than most people would make. You know what I mean? It's about what he can get in the moment. He's that much of a narcissist. He needs immediate gratification all the time to fill this hole in his soul.
But
Ivanka is playing the long game, and so are Jim.
Listen, there's no filling that hole. Trump sold his soul to the devil a long time ago, and he's taking his followers right straight to hell, right with him.
And so is Jared. So they're trying to salvage this thing. And they see the country on fire. They see how bad it is. And they're like, how can we spin this to look good to the base?
Look me in the eye, straight in the eye, in the eye.
Yeah, he sold it.
That was what she did. So I wasn't surprised at all. She's a deft soldier in that army. And people underestimate her. She's not stupid.
So here's a question. What was Jared like? Like, what's Jared like as just a dude?
Like a psycho killer. You know what I mean? like the dude you see at the top of the well as the basket's coming down with the lotion in it. And you're kind of getting a glimpse, and you're like, yeah, I'm not getting out of here alive. This motherfucker's gonna eat me.
It rubs the lotion on its skin. It does this whenever it's told. It rubs the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Yes, you will, precious. You will get the hose. Now he places the lotion in the basket.
He's insane. He's insane,
Back to like your specific experience with them.
Right.
So, the dynamic between Ivanka and Donald, it's been joked about a bunch, but you've seen it firsthand. And do you think that, not that it's actually anything happening, but do you think that there's something sexual in his mind and she's just playing that? Like, how is that going down?
Yeah, that's weird.
I think she knows
look
he's
at
sexually
this.
attracted.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Would you pose with your child like this? Or would you let the dad, if you're not the dad, would you let the father of your child pose with your child like this? And if you had a friend that showed you a photo of this, would you think that was weird? This is Donald Trump and his little daughter. She looks like she was 9, 10 years old. Oh my God. Like, what the fuck is this? What is this? What is this? This is absolutely disgusting. This is what he put his daughter through. Do you think that she thought this was? I'm sure she probably felt some kind of way, but do you think that was her choice to do this?
Attracted to her. You've seen her as a 10-year-old.
This right here is weird. What is this? I ain't never took no picture with my dad like this. Ever. This is weird. Oh, God.
Girl, he would dress her up like a model and bring her as his date to society events.
This is
just creepy.
Look at this. This, they said she's 16 right here. 16. Oh my God. Look at this man right here. You're like, what the hell is this? What is this? What is it? Let's go.
Creepy stuff. There's the famous photos we've all seen with his hands practically down her shirt, and she's like 11. You know, he remade her face. She had several plastic surgeries. She looked nothing like that when she was 13 and starting her modeling career. So he sort of made her in the image, you know, of what his ideal is, which is just creepy, and she went along.
Yeah, Lori, I agree with you 100%.
She can't breathe through her nose either. Like, she would have to breathe through her.
I believe she's 100% a victim. There's no way she could have thought that up. He made her do that because he's a sick, disgusting bastard. That's what he is, and he's the same then as he is now. Weird.
Draw to put on makeup in the makeup chair and stuff because she's had so many, you know, plastic surgeries. But to that point, she knows that he's attracted to her. I said I saw her at 16 give him a lap dance, and he just stared at everybody like, what? You can see it at Mar-a-Lago. She did it to him.
Hold on. So describe this, how this goes down, right? So where is this happening? Is this on the set?
Yeah, on the set of Miss Teen Universe when she was the host. She gave him a lap dance.
She
gave him a lap dance. On your lap, dancing to the music.
I know what
happened. You can look. If you don't believe me, look at the picture of Mar-a-Lago. Just Google, you know, Ivanka giving him a lap dance. She's sitting there in the front row at Mar-a-Lago, right? On his lap, in short shorts, grinding. She's 14 years old. There's a couple next to them. The wife and dude are like, what? You know what I mean? Because it's creepy. And she's rocking out. And that picture, I think, was like 1995 or 96. The band that was playing was the Beach Boys, right? So, like, every 15-year-old girl was just really into the Beach Boys in 1996, right? Like, Mike Love was just the shit back then, you know? So she just forgot she was on her dad's lap because she was, you know, they're playing Good Vibrations.
That's disgusting.
But if you see that look in his eye.
But see, he groomed his child to be like that. He groomed her. Look at how disgusting he looks.
That's what he does. And if you go back and look at the pictures of her as a little girl, when he's bringing her as his date to these parties, it's the same look. He looks at everyone else in the room like, what? Like, I can do this. This is my possession. And he holds her really tight. If you look at all the pictures, she's a little girl, her hands are white from the pressure of him holding her. And there's countless pictures. So don't take my word for it. Look at those pictures and think, would you ever pose like that in the back of a limo with your daughter lying across?
I've seen some of them. They're disgusting.
Right.
Yes, I am beautiful.
How often would you say he shit his pants? Was it monthly?
Well, I would only see him on the on the finals, right? So I saw him at least 3 times. But he wears the Depends all the time. You can see him as president. He was in the Oval Office with Erdogan, the Turkish prime minister, and you audibly hear him doing what I described to you. And you can look this up on YouTube or whatever, and you see Erdogan's face. And Erdogan's face is basically like, that motherfucker did not just do that. You literally can see it. You can see him smell it, and you can be like, this motherfucker. You know? And here's what happens, because when he gets pissed, and you see when he does these pressers, it's called closed press. It's when they bring the press into the briefing room or the Oval Office, and they all get to yell questions.
Okay, hold on, you guys, because My battery is about to go dead, so I am going to I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay. All right. So
see, when he gets pissed off, his aide, which is Stephen Miller's wife actually, will come in and she'll be like, everybody out now, get out. Like they freak out and kick you out right away. I think he made a number 2 at that point. And it's like, get in there, get him out, because somebody's going to get it on film, you know?
President made a number 2.
okay, so that was the end of that video. But at the end of the day, this is the man that's in office. I think a lot of people are intimidated by Donald Trump right now. They're intimidated by him.
It's a very interesting
But
story. It doesn't
there's
make any
nothing.
sense at all.
The only reason why that he has any amount of power is because he's in the White House, and the only reason why he's in there is because the people put him in there. This is him talking about the Gaza situation. Hold on. Let's listen to this news brief. Now, this is with him and Benjamin Genocide, and they are going to be given this press conference.
There are days and nights in this business when you have to leave open the possibility that you can still be surprised. I might even say stunned. I think this is one of those days. Donald Trump making news in the biggest possible way. I'm going to read you the quotes that I think are stunning to just about everyone who heard them today after a day of calling for the people of Gaza, who he numbered at 1.8 million, to be relocated out of the Gaza Strip. Today, Donald Trump said the following about the Palestinian people. They can instead occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do it, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the destroyed buildings. When he was pressed on whether or not he would be willing to use the military to accomplish the U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip, he doubled down on that, said we will do what's necessary. We'll do what's necessary. If necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over the peace.
Listen, just like he thinks he's doing in the White House. Now, I'm telling you, the Democrats they're in the position to do something legally. They can block these laws that are coming out, these unconstitutional laws that are coming out, because as Congress keeps saying over and over and over again that they have the power of the purse, but yet they're still allowing him to freeze systems. They're allowing him to allow Elon Musk in the Treasury, where he has access to every American Social Security information, and he does, because not every American is on Medicaid or Medicare. Not every American is on Social Security income, but every working American pays into it. So that would mean your information is in that system because you're paying into it, right? So you pay, over the course of your lifetime, they send you these, these little receipts basically in the mail that tells you, hey, you paid up into this amount. If you were to retire, this is the amount that you would be getting a month, right? Based off of how much you put into it. So most Americans who have jobs, most of us do, our information is in there, even if you're getting benefits or not, because you're paying into that system. But this is the system that they're trying to take over and rob, and trying to, I think they're trying to redistribute that money into their own private accounts. Now, I was on Blue Sky earlier, and there was a retweet of a person that said that Elon Musk said, should they put the treasury on the stock market, on the crypto market or something like that, and Elon Musk tweeted out the word yes. Like, what? First of all, who the fuck are you, and why do you think that you get to decide that? And that's not your money. They want to be able to play with our money. See, the stock market is a big speculation market. This is what they do. Tech bros, crypto bros, finance bros, they speculate about the market. There, you can take a commodity like gold, or you can take a pair, like a currency pair, like the euro and the dollar. You can take just any stock option or an actual stock. The actual thing could be, okay, worth this certain amount. Let's say it's worth $100, but on the speculation market, it can be $1,000, because they're breaking it down into littler parts. This is what they're trying to do with our money, and then it goes up and down. It's so volatile because they're breaking it into so many little parts. This is why the stock market goes up and down like that, because it's based off of what people are speculating, and people can manipulate other people to think one thing and do another. So a lot of people think that who can stop them? If you think the Democrats can, if you think the Democrats can, you are wrong. I don't understand what you're saying there.